The most expensive part of raising livestock is feeding them. Profitable farm managers find that growing their own forage is less expensive than buying other types of feed. This video introduces 8 basic elements in a forage program necessary for a profitable livestock operation. As such, there is a great deal more that producers may wish to know. A list of resources appears on screen at the end of the video. Universities, crop associations, and seed companies all have reliable information online to help you produce successful forage crops. There are a wide variety of forage choices. Among them are ryegrass, tall fescue, orchard grass, and clover. To be successful with any of these, consider following these 8 basics. At the end of the day, high-quality forage production leads to productive livestock and farm profits.
If a producer has a good forage program, he has the opportunity to simultaneously minimize expenses while also providing good nutrition that can lead to good levels of productivity and increased income.
That's our basic natural resource, and I think any sound business model needs to take advantage of what's naturally available in their area.
Anytime you look at the cost of production, whether it's beef cattle or it's dairy, goats, whatever, your feed cost is your major expense.
There are some fundamental principles that are critical. They're critical to the sustainability and the profitability of forage production, regardless of what's grown, where it's grown, and how it's utilized.
The characteristics of forage species vary greatly. When deciding between growing fescue or orchard grass, for example, or between annual or perennial ryegrass, factors such as geography, climate, and soil type will dictate what forage species are best suited for your farm.
They're grown on a wide variety of soil types. They're grown under many different fertility regimes. They're grown in a whole host of environmental conditions ranging from very hot to cold, from very wet to dry. Everything begins with the soil. That is our baseline. That will really dictate what we can grow and how long we can grow it.
Besides soil and climatic considerations, you'll find that certain forage crops are better suited for certain livestock. Because each animal has different nutritional needs, you'll want to choose your forage accordingly.
It's important to bring the animal into it because what is appropriate forage quality for one animal may not be appropriate for another. Different species yield differently. They can provide varying levels of nutrition. They have differing distributions of growth, and some species will persist longer than others. Determining what to plant is a very important consideration.
The nutrient level in the soil is a good starting point if you want to produce quality forage. Soil amendments in the form of lime and fertilizer may be needed. However, nutrient flows, especially nutrients recycled by animals, may greatly affect the need for soil amendments.
The most important economic investment that I could recommend in a fertility program, regardless of what forage we're growing, is simply get a soil test. A soil test provides the basic to know what we're dealing with.
Nutrient flows do need to be considered. Every livestock farm has nutrient flows. Management of the animals, fencing of the pastures can impact where those nutrients go and the extent to which they go to certain areas.
The next step is to plant your forage crop carefully. Establishing the crop successfully requires planning and wise decision-making. The use of high-quality seed and timely planting are just a couple of the aspects that lead to success.
We need to make sure we do those fundamental principles, get the depth right, get the rate right, and get that seed-to-soil contact. And I think if we do that, we increase our chances of success.
Also, once a forage stand is up and growing, it should be monitored closely because seedling plants are much more vulnerable to problems such as weeds or insects than an established mature crop would be.
A forage program can often get a tremendous boost with the addition of legumes. Whether grown alone or with grasses, legumes offer important advantages. They can help increase yield, improve forage quality, extend the grazing season, and fix nitrogen in the soil.
Since nitrogen is generally the most expensive nutrient element to buy, that really makes a significant contribution to the economics of a livestock operation.
Forage legumes in general have played a critical role in forage livestock production throughout history. I believe they're going to be more important as we look in the future of producing high quality feed, of producing sustainable growth because we're not having to put the nitrogen on, and producing a balance of feed that yields good, high quality, nitrogen fixing, and extends the grazing season.
Of course, the main objective of growing forages is to feed animals. Thus, harvesting at the proper time, whether accomplished by grazing or by mechanical harvest, is extremely important. The goal is to decide the optimum time to harvest, which leads to good productivity and forage quality.
Stage of maturity at harvest is the single greatest management factor under the control of a producer that affects forage quality. Animal performance is very much related to nutritional value of the material, and stage of maturity at harvest greatly affects the nutritional value.
How animals are grazed dramatically impacts pasture health. Knowing about different grazing methods allows you to select the right approach to meet your forage objectives.
There's a lot of factors that impact forage quality, and one of the most important factors if we're growing a grass, a legume, or grass-legume mixture is that of when we harvest it, how we harvest it. If we're not set up where we can rotationally graze, give the plants a chance to rest after we graze them and then graze them down again, chances are we get way behind in the spring. And as the pasture gets away from us, animal performance will be reduced.
If you had a truckload of hay, you wouldn't just dump the whole truckload of hay out there on the ground and let them have it, go at it, because they're going to waste a lot of it. Same thing with the grass. Because you're controlling what they're getting, how much they're getting, you can control. If they need more, you give them a little bit more. If they're looking good, and then you can just kind of control how much they get on a day-by-day basis.
I can take these two paddocks right here, this group of cattle that you see behind us, and switch them back and forth just every 2 or 3 days, and then it will last all summer. And it'll give the other time to get up and get straightened back up before you have to move them again.
Another benefit of rotational grazing is the possibility of extending the grazing season. Storing feed is one of the most expensive aspects of animal production, so lowering storage requirements through grazing management can reduce costs.
One of the keys to success in any livestock program is to reduce the need for stored feeds. Stored feeds are our most expensive feeds. So if we can reduce that need and graze more days of the year, then we'll be more profitable.
Hay is an expensive feed option. A lot of equipment and a lot of fertilizer and a lot of labor involved in putting up hay. So any natural grass grazing that we can utilize instead of putting up hay, it's a smart thing to do.
If we have a grazing program that we can extend that grazing program late in the fall and winter, and we perhaps can get on those pastures earlier in the spring, then we do a very important thing. We basically graze more days and feed less hay. And it's my opinion that every day we can graze, every day we graze is money saved.
In order to have a long grazing season, you're going to have diversity, because different forages, grow different times of the year.
It makes sense to have a forage program in which there are a number of species that are used that have differing growing seasons, because that is a way to keep the animals grazing over a longer period of time.
Ultimately, the most profitable forage programs are ones into which thoughtful planning is put. The top producers are always working to improve their operations and are willing to make changes in order to stay on top.
Without a doubt, if a producer has an open mind, is willing to learn, and is willing to implement practices that he knows have been proven by research to be valid, then certainly he's going to make more progress than someone who is resistant to new ideas. Every producer who wants to have a profitable forage program is going to need to make some investment in terms of thought and study and time and expenditure of energy and expenditure of a certain amount of money as well.
The secret, as I see, to good managers is those that have an appreciation for their soil and forage capability, have a knowledge of their animals and their nutritional needs and their limitations, and trying to match those up as well as possible.
Attention to details discussed or listed in this program can greatly increase the chances of producing high-yielding, high-quality forages. Producing the quantity and quality of forage you need and matching it to livestock nutritional needs leads to a more efficient, sustainable, and profitable farm operation. For more on the science and management of forage crops, contact any of these organizations, or you can also put this disc into your computer to access additional resources. To get specific information about any of these forage crops in your state, visit the USDA website. The concepts expressed in this video are based upon the book Southern Forages.